I'm live. Number 5 from the 10 skills that you need in life and that you definitely need in martial arts is managing your time. Obviously, you have the simple fact that you have to make sure you take the time to practice. You have to take the time to show up for class. But when you are especially working, you have to manage your time. I would say you need to manage the time that a particular style is going to take in terms of tolls on your body. If you're like me and you're just studying, you have a favorite thing, but you still want to study the martial arts as a whole, you need to think about what time you're going to have available to dedicate to your martial arts practice, not only between school, work, and family commitments, but the time you're going to have in terms of how much damage your body is going to be able to take. Managing your time means when is it appropriate to study particular styles. Now, I know we like to say that, practically every style is for everyone. And I mean, technically that is true. But you also have to look at how some styles are taught. Meaning, in my opinion, it's best to study what they consider to be external styles when you're younger, if you're starting off younger, and internal styles when you're older. Unless you have a teacher who's going to really look at you and try to accommodate whatever health problems that you have. In general, if you want to study something where you know they quote unquote go hard, you do that when you're young. If you want to study something where you know they tend to be softer, something like a Tai Chi, Aikido, I would say you would do that when you're older. Now, what is it? Shingi and Bagua are considered to be internal systems. And there are young people who can and do study those. But I would recommend it'd probably be safer for you to study that type of stuff when you're older. So that's how you may want to think about managing your time. And some of us, as we're in the martial arts, and this is where cross-training comes in. I think the reason why a lot of us amateurs get injured is because we spend so much time studying one style that we wear out a joint. If you cross-train, I think that can help prevent a lot of the joint wearing out damage. So, like for me, I still ended up with some injuries, but I was able to spread it out over time because, one, I didn't try to push, and try to get a black belt by a really quick date. Let's say I wanted to get a black belt in like 3 years in Taekwondo. If I wanted to do that, I would have had to compete a lot. End up probably sacrificing work. Definitely wouldn't have been able to have any relationships at that time. And probably would have came through with an injury or two. Definitely if I did that in judo, and I've seen people do it in judo. They get a black belt in a year, 2 or 3. They're heavy competitors. If you're young enough to take that type of damage, if you had at that time in your life where, you fracture something that heals up quick, I say go for it if you don't have any, you don't have a wife and kids. But I had a wife and kids. So I had to manage my time so that I didn't end up hurting myself, so that I would end up having to take time off work. So I had to spread out the training. That's one reason why I chose to be a non-competitor, especially when I was doing judo. They had 2 classifications of competitor and non-competitor. If you're a non-competitor, you spend more time in grade. I did that even though I still had to do a few tournaments just to try to spread out so I'm not getting injured over and over again. Another thing I would do by having like 2 complementary styles, I put time in one. When I hit a plateau on that one, I switch over to the other one. Hit a plateau on that one, switch over to the other one. Hit a plateau on that one, switch over to the other one. And I remember what was really funny is when I got ready to get the black belt in judo, I ended up going back over my Taekwondo forms and they helped me get better body control, and that helped, I think, tip me over to the black belt level for judo. Okay, this is not to say that the training I got from the actual judo people didn't help. Of course it did. But I noticed when I finally went back, because I'd read something in the book about solo exercises, and I was like, I've got solo exercises from Taekwondo. So I went back and did those, and that, I guess it just kind of fused both parts together and helped me get over the hump to get ready for judo, for that judo black belt. And now, especially like when I picked up, started doing Kyusho Jitsu more, that definitely was a manage your time thing, because I had to give that little bits of time over the years. Now, for some of the success podcasts and videos I've been watching, you can define success as work over time. You put in enough work over a long period of time, you should reach a level of competence in something. And you have to manage how you're going to do that time, because what you don't want is for your life to go out of balance. Well, that's what I don't want. I don't want my life to go out of balance, because I have other people deriving, mental and physical and spiritual and financial support from me. So I really have to be careful how I allocate my time. But unbeknownst to me, consciously, subconsciously, I have been giving bits of time here and there to Kyusho Jitsu. And so then when other time freed up, I was able to go back and put time into Kyusho Jitsu and able to get a black belt in that. And here's the thing, especially when you're working, we only have 24 hours in a day. But I've noticed that when things are really hectic at my day job, I figured out the cycles when things tend to be more hectic. And it's not just don't think I'm talking about just the contract I'm on. Software testing goes in cycles. It seems like every team, and I'm not just talking about, sprints or iterations. No, I'm talking about just the feel. You have to get a feel for whatever your environment is, when it's going to be busy, and then when it's going to slack down to be normal, even when it may be dead, and then it picks up. Software testing is like that. And I started noticing that, if I had to stay late or something like that, or put in a lot of time at work, it's like I was mentally drained. It's like I can't learn anything else. It's like my mind just doesn't want to absorb anything else. So I said, well, when I have more mental space, it's like I can handle this intensity. It's like I figured out what my peak intensity was, and I can handle this intensity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that intensity up, and then when things slow down at work, I'm going to take that extra energy and just put it over into martial arts. So basically, what really helped me with that is once I started getting paid to teach martial arts class, that helped me even more with managing my time. Because now it's like subconsciously it's like that is work, that is part of work. So now that it's part of work, it's like the mind and spirit says, okay, we're going to let you have that in for work energy, and you still have other energy that you have towards family and things like that. Now, at my age, especially with some of the health problems I've had to deal with, I have to make time for just regular straight up exercise. And that means that sometimes my technique suffers. But the pressure I have for me to keep technique within the realm of aight, instead of just using my favorite things, is that I'm a teacher. I have to be good enough to demonstrate a technique. Because apparently, there are people who you can't just explain the technique to them or do it a couple of times and even do it kind of weak, and they catch it. Even though I've learned from people that, have trouble walking and stuff like that. Apparently, a lot of people in the rest of the world, if you can't do the technique, they don't think they need to do the technique. So I still have to be able to do a jump kick. It's weird. It's like, okay, so you're going to make me do this jump kick. I'm telling you how to do it. Nah, you want to see me do a jump kick. Even though when you play basketball, you don't have to see the coach dunk. When you play football, you don't have to see the coach sprint down the field and get tackled for you to follow the play. No, and I played basketball when I was a youth. I didn't that good. But I played basketball like through the equivalent of middle school. Okay, I've seen Little League football practice. Okay, the coach doesn't have to get down there next to them on the front line and bend over and say, all right, offensive line, let's go. But when it comes to martial arts, people want to go, I ain't got to do it if he ain't do it. So I need to make time to make sure that I can still demonstrate techniques. Now, to be honest, I'm not going to lie. I like the challenge of it, even if you hear me complain on some casts, oh, my jump kicks aren't that good anymore. But I like the challenge of making myself be able to do it. Plus, I notice when I keep my techniques in like that, when I keep my techniques serviceable, I guess you could say, it helps. It helps me feel better physically. So you have to manage your time. You have to manage your time in terms of season of your body, when it's probably appropriate to focus how, when you're young enough to be a competitor or not, or what type of competitor you're going to be. Because I was told that as we get older, we should be doing more forums competitions. But you got to manage your time so that you have balance in your life. You know, if you put too much time into martial arts and you're not a professional martial artist, it's going to your regular job and your home life is going to suffer. It just will, because you're not giving it the correct amount of time. Then on the flip side, if you're working at your regular job too much, your martial arts is going to suffer. Now, you may not care about that, but I've noticed a lot of times if your martial arts suffers first. Once your martial arts suffers first, that's like a symptom to me. If my martial arts is suffering, that's a symptom to me that something may be off. That's how I found the condition that I got. I actually found it in meditation. Something was off. I sat down and meditated and prayed, and then it's like something came up in my spirit. Then I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, how in the world did you detect that? It's like, I took the time to meditate, doctor, and pray, and I think something's wrong, so I came to you. And he was looking at me like I was crazy till he got the last back, and he was like, okay. So your martial arts will start to suffer. But when your martial arts starts suffering, it's not going to be long before your personal life starts suffering. It is. It'll be like when you give too much to things that are not martial arts and family, you give too much to that. And I include friends in that too. So just say relationships. Well, I'll say relationships. Your martial arts starts to suffer, then your relationships are going to start to suffer too. So take the time to manage your time correctly. Yeah, that was redundant. Managing your time is a very important skill. You have to make the time to eat right, time to get sleep, the time to go to the doctor and get those doctor's checkups. You know? You don't want to be, don't think because you're taking all your time and exercising, and if you're actually physically fit, and unlike me, you actually look like you work out. Don't think that there might not be an underlying health condition. I'm not going to throw a person's name out there, but someone I know, dude, if you look at him, you'd be like, that guy's like the Incredible Hulk. That dude is just solid and just in shape. But I felt moved by God to tell him what I was going through. It's like, I have to take pills now. And it must have been God, because then he went to the doctor and he was like, oh, man, look what I found. And he had to stop and take away time from his weightlifting, and I think it's Kung Fu too, if I'm not mistaken. I know he had to take time away from his weightlifting for the doctors to fix the problem. And lucky him, they fixed it, and now he has the time to go back. So part of managing your time is taking time for your doctor's appointments. Some of these people that I've met, some of you, super experienced martial artists I met over the years, I actually have seen a lot of them at the doctor's office. So if you want to know how is it that martial artists tend to be able to still move and function despite being, getting older, and despite some of them having like health conditions, I could be wrong, but my theory is that martial artists take the time to go to the doctor. Because there's one martial artist in particular. I saw her at the doctor's office before I saw her at the tournament. And it was just like, it was something, it was like, I could tell then it was something about that woman. That woman's got some kind of like, she seemed like she had a lot of like spiritual fire or strength. To me, anyway. And I basically think that martial artists, they take the time to go to the doctor. They take the time to, the ones that are successful, who are still able to do their art longer than you think a human being could, is this time management thing. You make time for your health, time for your wealth, time for your relationships. You just got to manage your time effectively. So don't go overboard. A lot of times when you do, like there's a video, Freddie Lee did a video about a woman who died because she took too many protein supplements. That's basically, it was like she was probably trying to cheat time by throwing in the protein supplements and trying to accelerate things too fast. So you have to understand your body and how to make things build, not too slow, but just at the right pace and time for you to get the results that you want. So thanks for sticking with me through the end of this video. So that's skill number 5, managing your time. And I'm still trying to get a handle on that because I need to always make sure I find time to get some rest and some sleep. Peace.